Well, right now I am actually joined by Jimmie Johnson, El Cajon native, who is going after his 8th NASCAR Championship. And Jimmie, I gotta talk to you. I know you're coming off kind of a rough weekend, getting ready for the Daytona 500. How are you feeling?
I feel good. We had a spectacular crash at the end of the Clash race last Sunday, but the car ended up tore up and nothing happened to me, so that's a good thing.
I have to ask you, coming off of something like that, and they talk about the Clash curse, how do you wrap your mind around that and move past it?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately it's not the 500, and that race is kind of a specialty race and a perk for the teams to get out and get some early laps. So I guess emotionally I wasn't overly invested in that race, and if it was a curse like that during the 500, I would be much more aware of and concerned with.
Now let's talk a little bit about your history in racing and the fact that you did grow up here in El Cajon.
It's been a wild ride, and growing up in El Cajon and riding my bicycle up in Crest where I lived, to riding my dirt bikes in the surrounding areas and racing at Barona Oaks. Just traveling all around Southern California, riding and racing, going to the desert, the river. I had no idea that it would all that would teach me the things that I needed to travel east, get in a stock car, go racing, and end up in this position. So I really look back and smile when I think of my upbringing, the area I grew up in, the fact the surf was so close by, the deserts, the mountains for skiing. A lot of who and what I am today is because of the way I grew up and all the things I enjoyed doing as a kid.
I was doing a bit of research, and you actually own a taco shop and a speakeasy, and you have an interest in possibly, putting in a bid for the Carolina Panthers. Can you speak on that a little bit? Where are these places?
Yeah, we've opened a restaurant in Charlotte that's called Southbound, and honestly just pulling some different flavors and experiences from San Diego to the East Coast. There's plenty of Mexican food on the East Coast, but it's not like San Diego Mexican food. So through friends and relationships in San Diego, I've been able to try to get a lot of the flavor back on the East Coast, and it makes me smile having that go-to. But the restaurant's a part of a bigger project where we have 4 businesses that are going in it. We'll have a stage and a beer garden soon. The speakeasy just opened, the restaurant up front is open, and there's a barbershop that's going in. So it's a unique place, more of a destination than anything. So it's fun, it's been a lot of work, but at the same time it's been neat to kind of bring that story and experience to North Carolina. And then as far as the Panthers, it would be amazing to have ownership in an NFL team. The chances of that happening are super low. I don't have anything formally kind of in the works. I've made it known that I'd love to be a part of, but at this point, with as little conversation as I've had, I don't see it materializing.
Now you'll be racing at least through 2020. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your relationship with your crew chief, Chad Knaus, because he's just got 1 more year left, is my understanding, but you're hoping for an extension with that, because he's kind of like your Yoda or your Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah, we've been through a lot together. And we started this 48 car together and literally, built this thing to what it is. Crew chiefs and crew members in general live a much harder lifestyle than the drivers do. We get all the perks in far less time commitment than what they have. So I will lobby and do everything I can to keep him on the car and being the crew chief as long as I can. But our contracts do expire at different times. We'll see what decision he decides to make whenever that happens. I'm not exactly sure when that is, but I promise I'll be trying to keep him around.
Here's kind of a personal question. Now I understand that some of the guys that you race with, they call you uncle or grandpa. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, those are my young teammates that have come in, and we had a media day a month or so ago in North Carolina. And word traveled fast that I was being called grandpa, and then I think Chase saved the day by saying, well, I think of him more as an uncle than I do a grandpa. So, it's funny how fast time goes. It doesn't feel like long ago. I was that rookie coming in, and now here I am as the elder statesman at Hendrick Motorsports, and watching guys kind of from my generation step down and retire. So it's been an interesting ride, but I've been able to be mentored through my career, and I'm excited with my 3 young teammates to help them out.
What are you going to be able to do, or how are you going to prepare to grab this 8th NASCAR championship and kind of solidify your place in history, if not maybe a 9th and 10th championship as well?
It's such a long year, and having you go through an off season and you prepare and plan and look back at mistakes made, and we're fresh in that space right now. But what's so tough is to not only bring the energy and enthusiasm to the start of the season, But again, it starts over in September. So we've got to go from now to September, try to win, try to get ourselves placed in the playoffs. And then when the playoffs start, you need to be doing your best work. So it's a long year and it's such a grind. Every year has its challenges, but being able to pace ourselves, stay connected as a group, and really keep the right locker room feel amongst the 48 team and then also inside of Hendrick Motorsports. You know, the magic all lies within those ingredients.
Well, we want to thank you so much for your time. Jimmie Johnson, we wish you the best coming up this weekend.